Hello YouTubers, my name is X Factor, and in the background is some Rush gameplay with the M240B, which is going to be aiding me as we set a couple of MCOMs and go on a streak. But the big news today is the actual retail patch that's coming to old gen, new gen, and PC. Doesn't matter what platform you're on, your retail version of the game is about to drastically change. The boys at DICE LA, the CTE developers, have been busy compiling the winter patch. We're actually going to break it down, go into detail, and give you guys some insight on some of the major changes that are taking place that are really going to affect the gameplay. But as always, there's going to be a link in the details for you to go over these pretty in-depth patch notes with all the different bug squashing and bug mashing that they did on the various platforms, and of course tweaks to specific maps. The first thing up is the flying bathtubs, aka attack choppers. Gone are the day of those things absolutely being flying coffins. They can now do loops, rolls, and are simply more nimble. That'll really help you out when you're trying to dodge all the crazy stuff that's trying to shoot you down or lock you from across the map. Next up is vehicle HUD customization. It's actually broken up into two separate categories, air and ground. So this allows you to maybe have a bright orange HUD for your tank and attack boat, but you're really feeling that pink color when it comes to your helicopter and your attack jet. Now you can really express yourself because those are both separate. Next is something that's actually in Battlefield 4 right now, or yesterday, or the week before, depending on when you played last. That's the med bag and first aid tweaks. Now, if you get suppressed, you have to wait for that decay to fall off in the previous version of Battlefield 4. And usually take around 7 or 8 seconds. And if a bullet or two went whizzing by your head, you're waiting even longer. Well, they've drastically reduced that for the med bag. Drastically. Now, it's about 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds. And they've also messed with the way that the suppression decays and how it kicks back on. Now, what about those first aid kits? You couldn't pick those up if you were suppressed, or you had to wait for that long decay period to go on. Now, it's disabled if you take damage only. It is not suppression-based anymore. So shit's hitting the fan, you're behind the wall, pop a little bag, sit on it, away you go, and it won't stop until you take another bullet. And the big bag is still that area of effect heal, but it is still messed with suppression. But again, it's about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, and they really mess with the way decay works and the way the suppression kicks back on. So what about hipfire and ADS reticles, the color and the size? Did that make it? Yes, it did. Do you want a tiny green-red dot or a fat Cobra optic, red or orange? You can do that. And of course, you can mess with your hipfire reticle as well. You can choose the color, the thickness, and then of course the custom hit markers are here. You can have a different color for headshot, body shot, and the kill. Another tweak to the combat and suppression system actually has to do with squad spawn screens, infantry based. It actually shows the soldier's health when you're on that squad mate, and it actually blocks you from spawning on them if they're suppressed and in combat, with a small delay as that suppression decays before you can force that spawn. On top of that, there's even more information available for that deployment screen. You can now see vehicle health, passengers, and their classes. You jump in a tank as the primary gunner, you wonder if you have an engineer alongside you. You can see that before shit hits the fan and you've got to bail out and do the repairing for yourself. Or maybe you won't be as aggressive knowing you don't have a repair person in the secondary spot. Another thing that they fixed that's big, people have been tripping over pebbles, rocks, pieces of wood, and small stairs forever in Battlefield 4. The soldier traversal and collisions have been improved. Walking over small objects, inclines, and ellipses is now handled gracefully by the engine. So should really help you get over the simple things in life. Simply put, the netcode in CTE is a lot better than what is in retail as of a couple days ago. You can actually feel the damage and gives you plenty of time to react, usually depending on what range the bad guy is at, and you're not dying several feet behind walls. If you take a look at the visual aid up top, they've made drastic changes. They've added a long-range network update by adding a cone to the high-frequency update. Now there's prioritization and filtering that's been given to health and damage given and received, enemy players and vehicles above everything else. But don't worry, the vehicles are in there too, and it works like this. Vehicles now use a larger front hemisphere for collision improvements, and if you aim down sight while in a vehicle or on foot, it utilizes an even longer cone for better target acquisition at distance. Again, I played a lot of CTE and simply prefer it. The netcode feels a lot more crisp. You could feel the damage, giving you time to react in most cases, and you're not dying behind walls. The next big change that I'm really excited about is footsteps. they've significantly improved the sound of enemy and friendly footsteps. It's amazing in CTE. It's going to be a pretty drastic change for you guys once you get a hold of this patch. The next thing is they're bringing in noob servers. Now, if you quick match and you're under 10, it'll put you into a special server. So you can kind of level up to 10, get the basics of the game down, then move on. Another big change is squad obliteration. It's been on CT for a while. New competitive game mode, 5v5 only. And there's no vehicles, no parachute spawns. Secondary base spawns are available. First team to destroy 2 out of the 3 bases wins the round. And here's a nice thing about the bomb carrier. Used to be a sucker's bet to pick that up. The only time their position is given away is if they are spotted. Squad obliteration is a ton of fun and a very fast-paced and chaotic game mode. Hopefully you guys give it a try and let me know what you guys think about it. The last major thing I want to talk about is the decoupling of vehicle aiming from the turning option has been added. I've done a video on this before. The other day when you played Battlefield 4 last week, if you turned your tank or attack boat, the gun turned with it, even if you weren't messing with the turret. Now you can decouple that. So if your tank is turning left, your turret will no longer yank left. It'll stay in whatever position it was before you stopped fiddling with the turret. And that goes for attack boats and any other vehicle in the game as well. It's more of an advanced setting. It's more of a skill gap thing, but once you get used to it, you will never go back to coupled aim. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick overview of the winter patch notes. Coming to retail no matter what platform you're on. There is a lot more than what I mentioned. I just went over the most important things that more than likely affect your experience. Then, of course, the overall gameplay and feel of Battlefield 4, because it's about to drastically change. There will be a link in the description down below so you can read up all about it. And if you guys have any questions or comments, don't forget to leave those down below. As always, YouTubers, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And that's all she wrote for this round. We'll see you guys soon.